And he said to me, I'm the only one that tried to get you a wristband. Your friends have been sitting around eating crisps.
I remember this so well. And how dare
I
he as
know.
well? How dare he? All we were doing was trying to get you in, but none of us had wristbands to go and get you.
It's just 4 of you and Val eating crisps while I'm trapped in the thing with jelly spiders on my head. Anyway, so then...
Welcome to Crave the Rave, a naughty podcast for old school ravers who need a fix of the rave. I'm Lady Bizarre.
And I'm Jess the Mess.
On each episode, we'll be reminiscing over hilarious, embarrassing, and downright mental stories from our raver days. Think trippy tales, Fezzy fails, and stories from the sesh. We've seen, heard, and done it all, and we bet you have too. So join us for a trip down memory lane.
Hello, welcome. Wow, this is a really special episode of Crave the Rave because I am Jess the Mess who's lost her voice.
And I'm Lara, who's still
booming.
And
we also have with us
Suzie!
Woo! So we've actually had an absolute nightmare. We actually booked a studio, which we thought was going to be the most amazing thing ever. We thought we were ramping up Crave the Rave, and really, it's been a shit show.
Yeah, they're even giving our money back. Like, I don't know if we're like cursed or something, but even the guy was like...
I don't even want to call him the producer.
The producer.
Because how dare he?
Bless him. The guy that tried to help us couldn't set it up. We don't, as you lot know, we don't know anything about tech. So 3 hours later, here we are. But look, we're here. I'm excited about this one.
We are very here. I'm so excited to be on. Thank you for having me, guys.
You're welcome. And you know what? We may be in a really fancy studio, but I've got to say, what's really made it special for me is the snacks.
We have to talk about the snacks. This is a very Lara spread. And we've got a very interesting choice considering we're recording a podcast, such as nuts.
Yeah.
And hazelnuts and walnuts in particular, which are particularly dry.
Dry, pasty.
And then we've also got quavers, but not your regular quavers because it's Lara. It has to be prawn cocktail. I'm just going to do a bit of ASMR for all the listeners out there because Jessie loves it.
Ugh.
Jessie is dying.
Oh, I can't stand it. I'm really sensitive to it. Oh.
And then we've also got Reason, which is a very chewy chocolate. So we could just be smacking our lips together.
And then in case you have fishy breath, you can finish the selection with a mint Kit Kat.
I thought the Kit Kats were the only normal snack, but even they're dark chocolate and mint. So there we go.
Well, to be honest, they were just things that I had at home. I just, wanted to provide a nice environment, ambiance for our special guest, Lil Suze.
Thank you. And honestly, thank you for having me.
Yeah, thanks for coming. I'm glad you're here for the snack. But yeah, so you've just come back from Secret Garden Party.
That's my most recent festival. Yeah, I went because Dan was playing.
Right.
So they were like, oh, you can have a bell tent or whatever. So we were like, okay, we'll see what the weather's like. Maybe we'll do 1 or 2 nights.
Yeah.
The weather was banging. So we got there on the Saturday before he was playing. And then we quickly decided we were only going to do 1 night.
Yeah.
Because walking around, it felt, do you know what? It was like the age was like very random. It was either really, really young, like my first festival vibe, that after graduating after Reading, for example, or like really old and I don't want to say crusty, crusty wasn't the right word, but it's like very Bristolian, very One Love hippie vibes. Like those people that were probably there by themselves and just really feeling the music,
right?
That kind of person. So we were like, I don't know if this is really us. His set was great, and then we saw Badger.
Oh.
Straight after Dan sex. Jessie and I were discussing Badger and He's just my new obsession now.
Yeah, brilliant.
He's just so his music side, it was he was such a lovely, sweet person. Anyway, so that was really cool. And then we were like, right, well, we'll mooch about the festival and we'll see what's going on. But I've got mixed feelings about it because I think it was really good how they stripped it back to how it used to be years and years and years and years ago. So really minimal, very minimal stages. But yeah, we walked around and our music taste is very similar. So when I said this to Jessie another day, I was like, oh God, I couldn't find any music that we like because it was all techno or minimal house. She was like, oh, I would have loved that.
That would be my bag.
Yeah, you would have loved that. But No, we weren't really vibing with that. But then we walked past this tent called the G Spot, which was like this inflatable igloo that was pink. And we were like, oh, that sounds really good. And it was like quite vibesy. And then we went in and it's like some DJs that we know called Isco and Rico. They're part of this thing called Brighter Days. They're really, really cool. That was really vibesy and it was really, really cool. And then once that ended, we were like, oh, and then we walked around again and there was like, so we were like, let's just call it a night. It was like 4 a.m. I was like, let's just.
So did you do 2 nights?
We did the one. We literally went to bed. We couldn't sleep because we were by the G Spot, which went on till 6 a.m. So then by the time that stopped, the sun came up and it was literally one of the hottest days of the year. And we were like dying, like gasping for air. I probably had like half an hour of sleep and we were like, right, wrap it up, let's go. And we just got in the car and we drove home.
Do you know what? After the last secret garden party that we went to.
No.
Where the shit show.
No.
And it was all
Literally
the shit and the toilets.
Yeah.
Probably quite a few people have been there.
Because the thing is, I'm not going to lie, if Dan wasn't playing, I wouldn't have gone.
Yeah.
And not just because I had PTSD from that one that we went to, right? But also because I was like, no one I know is going, which I felt like was a bit of a telltale sign, right? Like most people I know still go to loads of festivals a year. Like people still go to Shambala, they go to the Out Here, etc. So it's not that no one goes to festivals anymore. It's just when I looked around, I thought, none of my mates are going to this, which is like quite strange. Anyway, so we went and I'm not going to lie, like for me, I was saying to Dan, like this site feels really special. Like I'm sure you two would probably really agree because like when I'm there, I feel like there's like places in like life, isn't there, that you have like a connection to. Yeah. And like when I go to the Secret Garden party site, I'm like, wow, this is so nostalgic and like reminds me of such a great period of my life that like obviously partying with you guys and first properly going to festivals. So that always holds like a special place in my heart. So when I'm there, I do love it because I just love that site. I think it's such a good site for a festival, but I wouldn't go again.
No,
I think I've outgrown it. Yeah. That's what I would say.
Yeah. So for Dan's set, was it a load of youths?
Yes, it was a mix because I feel like the corrupt crowd is quite young.
Oh, yeah.
So but then there was a mix. There was older people as well, but like not the crusties. They definitely weren't there. It was cool. I can't remember what it was called, but it was a really cool, like it kind of dipped in. It was like a drop in the middle. And anyway, it was good. Yeah, it was good.
Well, we literally had the best time of our lives.
Yeah.
I'd probably say like the best days of our lives were in Secret Garden Party years ago.
Totally.
So I went to like the second ever one, I think. And at the same time, you guys went to Global Gathering. I'd already done Global Gathering the year before, which I thought was the best thing in the world.
Yes.
But I'd heard about Secret Garden Party. So me and some of our other mates went to Secret Garden Party and I was like, you guys have got to come to this thing. But when we did that, it was quite a hippie vibe. There were kids. It was very special. It still wasn't about headliners then, and it never really was.
Never really was, yeah.
Which is fine by us, but it was like a really, really special place. I could probably get there without a map,
Yeah.
Because I know it's in Huntingdon near Kettering, which I always thought Kettering.
Yeah, and the same here. And my God, Manchester. And is that right? I think that was right. And then also the big Tesco.
The big Tesco, which I hitchhiked down to once and then realised I was stuck there and couldn't get back.
Really? From the festival to get stuff?
Yeah, I got a van to take me down there and I was like, fuck, now how do I get back?
What were you trying to get?
I don't know, just bits.
Knowing Jessie, probably fruit, like a fruit salad.
Yeah, no, cucumber.
Something healthy to get her through the day. A cucumber, yeah.
But I was thinking the other when me and Ashley were packing for Glastonbury. Did I mention I went to Glastonbury?
Oh, this.
But yes. When we were packing for Glastonbury, literally we were like, back in the day when we used to go secret, I used to spend about 100 quid on just food for me and like my boyfriend.
Yeah.
I used to pack for like a whole week, a whole shopping trolley full of food.
Well, we had the stove as well. Because now I just don't bother. I can't. The only thing that I wish I could just have immediately when I woke up was a cup of tea.
Yeah.
That's the only thing I wish I had the stove for, but it's just not worth the effort, man.
I always thought about setting up a stand at a festival called Goblets of Gold and it would be just tea. But it'd be really quick, getting out, you'd go around the campsite, anyone want a tea? Anyone want a tea? So if anyone wants to steal that idea and bring it to me when I'm at a festival, I welcome that.
There you go. But no, Secret was like a eye-opener for me as well when I started going because that's when we were newly friends.
Yeah, that's what we became friends.
100%, definitely. And also because I remember the whole thing of Global Gathering being on at the same weekend, it kept a lot of like dickheads out. And then I remember towards the end of us going and towards the end of Secret Garden Party ending, how different it became, even how I saw it in those like 7 years because they switched the year the global gathering was on, and then you
It
had
changed it
scumbags.
completely.
turning
We used
up,
to go with like our brothers, our sisters, our cousins. Like, it was
Yeah.
like big family
Yeah.
affairs.
100%. Yeah. And we broke in once in the camper van. You know, like take the sofa like cushions out of the camper van. We were like in the base. And that was like, I never realized. I was like, okay, I think I might be claustrophobic.
I also snuck in because Justin had a dialer ride, an old dialer ride.
Yeah, he did.
And
Matilda.
and I went in that, and we didn't have any seats, and we sat on bean bags. And as he drove in, we just hid under the bean bag. Have you ever broken into a festival, Lara?
Yes. So obviously I finally made it to Glastonbury a couple of years ago for the first time. Wait, last year.
Last year.
And before that, I actually did make it into Glastonbury one time.
Technically. Her feet had touched the grounds of Glastonbury Festival.
Yeah. Was back in, God, I don't even know, about 2011, I think it was. So there was a whole escapade to get down there. Basically, we didn't have tickets. There was a crew of about 6 of us. And we had 2 cars, me and my ex, like my boyfriend at the time, and then another crew of people in another car. Now, his mates, the guys that were in this other car, had a tree surgeon company. So their plan of attack was to use the harness and the tree climbing,
Equipment.
Yeah, abseiling equipment to scale the wall of Glastonbury. We had the ladder that my ex had stolen from the council block that he lived in. He found a tool to undo the emergency ladder, which is awful because that safety hazard. Hello, it makes me anxious now thinking about it as a grown up. But me back whenever I think I was like 18, 19, was like, sweet idea. But we drove the whole way down with like the ladder poking out my boot, this metal ladder.
But that's also the problem with trying to sneak into Glastonbury. Is like, you've got to go all the way there.
Yeah.
It's far.
The amount of people that were like, we're sneaking into Glastonbury. And they drove 3 hours, spent that weekend in the car park, and then 3-4 hours back.
Yeah, pretty much. But at that age, it was kind of fun hanging out in the car park. I mean, what else were you going to do?
It did happen to me one year where I didn't get in, but I'll let Lara finish.
So before we even got down there, on the way down, I started to feel a bit funny. Now, I had the sat-nav. This is the time of actually a Garmin sat-nav. I had the old school thing before smartphones plugged in. We were following that. So the other car's behind, and my tummy starts to feel funny. And what I'd eaten before I left was fish and chips with a load of ketchup. Anyone who knows me, I'm a ketchup queen. Big fan. So I had been given by my friends, I think for my 18th birthday or something. Was it you?
Yeah. We went to the cash and carry and bought you a turbo tub of ketchup. And you were fucking buzzing about it.
And that same birthday, someone bought me a Heinz ketchup recipe book.
It was us. It came with the ketchup.
I'm dead.
In case I ever ran out of inspiration. Okay, so I took this ketchup that had been bought for me the year before out of the hot, clammy, fermenting.
Your birthday is in August and Glastonbury's in June.
Yeah.
So we're talking 10 months out of the fridge.
Festering
In the cupboard, which I think was actually the same cupboard as where the boiler was. So it was not in the best place.
Oh boy.
And anyway, I was eating my fish and chips, loads of this ketchup, and kind of was like, oh, this tastes a bit funny, but I'm sure it'll be fine. How bad can it be? It's ketchup. Bad is the answer. So we went down there, and then every single service station we needed to pull over for my tummy. And the car behind are like, bro, like what is going on? I'm like, sorry, man. By the time we get down there, it's a literal shit show, but it's like the show must go on. Like, we've driven this far, got to get into Glastonbury. I'll figure it out, you know?
Whether I shit myself or not.
That ladder, got to make use of it.
Got to make it work. So we get there. We get to this huge fence, you know, you're looking up, you're like, right, okay.
Well, like a wall.
It was like a big metal wall. Yeah, big. And so I was like, wow, okay, this is something else. So we get our ladder, we put it up. This is me and my ex at this point. Other crew are like down the other end of the fence.
Very clever. You're spreading out.
Spreading out.
Yeah, it's a great idea.
Thank you. And so like they're climbing up, they've got they're on their own mission. We managed to get over, jump. I remember getting to the other side and even hang dropping, I was like, I'm gonna break my legs. Like it was a big old drop. You know when you
while shitting yourself is mental.
you know when you like drop and you like get those like pins and needles because it's like such a drop. I was like, oh, gotta run. So it's absolute scramble. Like we both run into the campsite. It's just like every man for himself.
Can I ask, when you got in and you just ran, was it like people were like, oh my God, they're over there? Or was it like you just ran out of instinct of like, get me to loads of people and let me blend in?
Yeah, tried to blend in, but also heard shouting.
Oh, did you? Okay.
Saw a torch. It was night.
Hey.
So I knew that if I could just sit down and just try and blend in, that I stood better chance. Anyway, we scramble and we stumble into this like campfire or whatever, this group of young boys. And we sit down and I remember just like gasping for breath and just picking up the nearest drink can that I could find, and I just by the fire, and I was like, blend in. So I just picked it up off the ground, drank it, like pulled out to my mouth. I was thinking, I'm just at the fire, just drinking my brother's cider or whatever it was. Fucking ashtray,
of course.
It was the fucking ashtray. Butts in my mouth. It was. But I couldn't pretend it was normal.
The instant karma of that is insane.
No, I know. And then.
Sorry, can I just ask? When you sat down with them, were they like?
Yes.
Hi.
Not only were they like, oh my God, there's a random girl sitting with us, they're also going, fuck, she's got the ashtray.
There was about 10 of them. There was a lot of people around this campfire. So, but we skidded in, like me, like literally like fell into their campsite. And then the next thing you know,
you shut yourself.
Security comes straight and they're like, right, check your wristbands. Yeah. And I had 25 wristbands from every other festival event. And graduation ball I'd ever been to. And so I was wearing them all on my wrist. And so I just...
Well, she was like holding it on like this, shaking.
I held it up and he was like, okay. I got past it and we were all good. I think actually at this point I was in the campsite. Sorry, this was my own private mission. My ex had gone.
Yeah, he was...
We scattered. It was
absolutely. And also knowing the ex, he's good at scattering. Yeah, like he's probably there with like a wig on, like fully blended in with someone.
He's on. Yeah, it's every man for himself at this point. I'm there drinking the ashtray. He's doing God knows what over there. Absolutely. But anyway, my collection of dirty, rotten wristbands from the last 3 years or whatever have finally come in useful. Finally, because he's saying to these young shaking boys, they look really nervous, and the guy's going, if you are harboring a fugitive, basically, you're all out. And I saw one guy going, like opening his eyes and looking at me, and I was just looked at him and I gave him like, if you could ever imagine a pleading eye of save my life. Yeah. It was that. And I just looked into his eyes and I thought, I'll blow you if you keep me.
That's when the ex turns up. He heard that from a million miles away. Hold on a minute.
Meanwhile, your ex is blowing someone else.
Oh, Jesus.
Wow. We would have.
If you're listening out there, guys, and have harbored us, I would have sucked you off, I promise.
Like, we would have understood. I was saved. I was saved by these young boys. I thanked them. And then I got a phone call from my ex and he hadn't made the cut. I know.
That's actually such a plot twist.
I know.
Wow. Well, there you go.
I know. See, he's a roadman, but I'm a girl of the streets.
Come on, she knew how to get in. Well, I think that's probably the privilege of being a woman sometimes, like blending with those guys. That she probably got dobbed in straight away. These other guys were like, he's over here.
Yeah, totally. And these guys saw this poor puppy dog lost child and thought, all right, we'll save her. But anyway, so.
And then what happened? So he got nabbed.
Taken out. But the problem was he had thrown his valuables
somewhere.
Somewhere,
but no,
God somewhere, but along a fence that went on for as long as Glastonbury did. And he just said, look, I can't really speak. I'm outside. Look, I need you to find them. And I was there for about an hour and a half and down this fence trying, because you know those metal connected fence with the breeze block underneath, he just said it's a metal fence, and I was like, Fucking found it though. Found all the stuff.
Well
I
done.
took 4 breaks to go and shit myself in between because by this point I had what can only describe as what felt like giving birth. It was excruciating. So I remember just being like, okay, I'm now in Glastonbury. I'm dying. I'm ill, and I'm now on a mission to find all of this stuff. But the problem was this fence where he thought he put it was quite near the entrance where they're checking wristbands. So I was on a fake phone call for an hour and a half, kicking the ground, pretending I wasn't looking for something. It was a disaster. Anyway, when I was walking out of there, I was like, right, okay, so I guess I'm walking out of Glastonbury.
Oh, it's insane, isn't it? 'Cause I was there, do you remember?
Yes, I was so excited to see
You
you.
should have just fucking stayed in there.
On my own, ill.
Fezzy.
Obviously, she could have linked me, but I get that feeling. You're with your man. It's like
I could. I don't
one.
think I could. I don't think I even felt like I had the minerals. I needed him to as an emotional support. But it was a shit show. Also, he came in my car.
Oh, you were drunk. Okay, well, yeah.
The other car was full. I was like, I can't just like leave this poor boy. But anyway, the other group, if anyone's wondering what happened to me, they all got over apart from this one girl. And I don't know why they didn't just get her over first. Fucking boy.
Yeah, because they don't care.
They but she was the last one and they were all got over, but she got caught and then they all got caught basically.
Oh, there you go.
You have been to Glastonbury twice then.
Yeah, she has technically been twice. Do you know what I always tell about Glastonbury? It's something that like when I tell people, one, makes me sound really old, and two, makes me sound like a liar. Like basically the first time I ever went to Glastonbury, and this was the only year I ever paid, because at the time it wasn't so bad to break in. It's obviously got insane now. But the first year I ever went, this is how I got a ticket. I decided like maybe 2 months before, I'm just gonna go to Glastonbury. And it was as easy as that, right? And then I went, at the time, this is how you could buy tickets. I went to the HMV on Oxford Street by Bond Street Station.
Yeah.
Iconic shop. And I went down there and I just walked up to the counter. There was no queue.
I remember that.
And I went, hi, can I get 3 tickets to Glastonbury, please? And they said, absolutely, you can. And then they ripped the paper tickets and just gave it to me. And it was that. And like me got the coach down there. Anyway, so we were on the coach. Just like, I mean, this journey wasn't very long, but no, of course, it meant, you have to take drugs. Drugs must be consumed at this point, God forbid. And so one of them's got a fucking saucepan turned the other way and just crushing like the most bright pink pills you've ever seen, crushing them and snorting them. And everyone even around us on the coach was like, you fucking scumbag.
I just love the thought of the intentions of bringing a saucepan.
Yeah.
As though you're going to cook food, but you're not.
And actually it was just a service to do line.
It's just a good service to do a line on.
So that was just the coach there. So yeah, then we got in and yeah, it was obviously a really, really great festival. But after that, I'd managed to like sneak in a few more times. It was easier the earlier you got there. I mean, people were there weeks before, right? And then we got there one year, me and Justin, he'd already got there. I met him on the Monday night. He snuck me in and then I did Monday to Monday and it was fantastic. Now it's Hunger Games. It's crazy, isn't it?
Yeah.
Even just to get normal tickets, Hunger Games.
Oh, it's intense. I always think like, what do you guys think about wearing like the wristbands afterwards? I can't wait to get it off.
No, I'm now, even when I got back from Single Garden Party, as soon as I got back to the house, it was off. I cut it off. As soon as I found a pair of scissors.
It's like a joyous moment when it gets cut off. Lara is a keeper.
That's because she's a hoarder.
I keep them all, yes.
She's a hoarder.
Yeah, that's because I'm a hoarder, but I don't keep them on anymore. I do take it off.
I do hang on to a few because of things like when you do sneak. I mean, I rarely sneak in these days, but it's good to have the extra wristbands on for that. But like, I don't have them on. But one person that we knew, Max, back in the day, he was a serial wristband wearer.
But he had them all the way up his arm.
He did.
So I had a situation years ago. You were there. We went to Shambala.
Yeah.
We snuck into Shambala.
Yeah.
Basically, there was a part of Shambala where you crossed over a bridge into like an area.
I know exactly what you're going to say. Yes, I remember this.
And we didn't have wristbands. And we went in and we had a good time. And there was a bungee nets that you could sit on and bounce on.
Yeah. It was at the woods.
It was the woods, yeah. But on the way back out of the woods, they were checking wristbands. So everyone went in. Everyone was ahead of us and they all went in and you guys went past security. They went wristbands. And they got my ex-boyfriend in front of me who didn't have a wristband. I didn't have a wristband. So I turned on my heel and I walked back into the woods. So they took him aside.
Yeah.
And then I'm now in the woods on my own. I've got battery. I'm calling you guys. And you guys are like, I'm going to get your wristband. Don't worry, I'll get your wristband. Anyway, a really weird series of events happens because I'm like, actually, I was about to do a load of acid before that happened. So thank God I fucking didn't.
Wow.
I actually was like thanking the stars I didn't. Anyway, I'm in this area all on my own. You guys can't come in yet because you haven't got wristbands. You need to get me one. I'm like sort of sitting on my own under a tree. And I put my hand on my head and someone had put a big sweetie jelly spider on my head.
No.
Which freaked me out because I didn't put it there and I don't know where it came from.
What?
But people wearing nets above it. So they must have thought that's a weird girl like sitting on her own and put a big sweet spider on
Very
my head.
Fezzy.
Which freaked me out. Anyway, I found a phone again before smartphones. I'm messaging, somebody goes, oh, have you found my phone? I'm like, yeah, I found your phone. I'll give it back to you if you get me a wristband.
Taking it all
And they're like, we work here actually, so I'm going to try and get you a wristband. So they're trying to get me a wristband. You guys are trying to get me a wristband. I'm trying to get through to my ex. Anyway, eventually you guys produce a wristband for me. You sent the one person that we'd met that had a wristband and he came in and I've been there aged on my own. I was really looking forward to seeing you guys. And this sap of a guy that had been following us around who did have a wristband, you gave him the wristband to give to me. So I'm like desperate to see you guys. It's been hours. He walks in and I'm like, yes. And it was him. And I was like, oh. But anyway, I was like, fuck it, at least I got a wristband. So he gives me the wristband. And he said to me, I'm the only one that tried to get you a wristband. Your friends have been sitting around eating crisps.
I remember this so well. And how dare he as well?
I know.
How dare he? All we were doing was trying to get you in, but none of us had wristbands to go and get you.
It's the four of you and Val eating crisps. While I'm trapped in the thing with jelly spiders on my head. Anyway, so then Fred appears. I'm like, what the fuck? Where have you been, right? This is my luck, as you know. I'm so lucky. Because I knew we were sneaking into the festival.
I remember this.
I bought a car park permit.
Park pass.
Bought a car parking pass because I was like, at least let me get in without any issues to that point. So that at least when we break in, we're like that stage through because you had to get a permit. I was like, I don't want to get caught at the first stage.
No, yeah.
Permit is silly. Like you live in Shambala.
My personal permit. Anyway, so he was saying all the time, my wristband fell off on the bouncy bits in the woods. And
this is so festival. I can't.
Yeah, and he's like, oh, but my girlfriend did buy a ticket. Anyway, they took him to like this cabin thing and they looked up all my details. And because I bought the thing, my details came up.
Yeah.
And so therefore they were like, oh, sorry about that, mate. And they gave him a wristband and they sent him back in.
I remember that so well.
Yeah.
Wow.
So we were like, fucking hell, yeah, we're in. And then I don't think they checked us after that, but it was good. It was like, after that, the festival was even sweeter.
And then we took acid and had maybe the best day of my entire life. Yeah, I think that was
that was one of the best.
One of the best days of my entire life. I was thinking about that because I was thinking how mad of an experience that was because that was also very much like a lot of fate had like lined up for that day
for us to
and I think it was a lot of our first times taking it. It was definitely mine. Yeah, it was perfect. It was just the right amount. And we were like sat, I remember in the Bedouin tent and we just had this big sofa.
It was amazing.
And we didn't move for like 20 hours.
Yeah.
It was amazing.
I also didn't go for a wee for 20 hours.
But do you remember that? Me and Jessie had a wee for 17 hours. We were like, Jessie, we need to get up and piss. Like we actually need to get up and go, right, let's do this. And it was a whole palaver of us getting up. Like leaving the area was like this weird moment. And I remember going to the portal and it was such an experience. I was like, there's a whole world out here.
Yeah.
And I had to call my dad and say happy birthday to him. I couldn't believe it. But like he couldn't care less. And I was like tripping on acid. But do you remember there was this place called Grandma's Calf or Grandma's Gas? I remember it.
Yeah.
And basically it was like a little like place you could get tea and scones. And like they were all men dressed as old women with wigs on and like basically Mrs. Doubtfire vibes, yeah. And then I remember after our long ass trip, we're like, we need to eat something. You bought something and then me and Val were buying the next lot. But also me probably still fucked on the acid. I got 2 cups of tea for me and Val and then a scone, right? Or a scone. I always overthink how to say it. And then when it came as it normally would, cut in half with jam on one side and cream on the other. But when I looked at it, I was like, the tops are missing. I was like to the man, the tops are missing. And he was so confused. And I was like, couldn't get why he was so confused. I was like, that one's missing the lid with the cream on it. That one's missing the bottom with the jam on it. And he was just looking at it like he was probably fucked as well, to be honest. And then he came over and just got 2 bits of like the scone cut in half and just put them on top. And I was like, yeah, perfect. And I remember trying to even count the money out. I was like, what is money? What's 50p? What's £2? And then, yeah, that was that.
Oh, that's brilliant. We actually had the best times. So from one of the best days of our lives to literally one of the worst experiences of our lives ever, which was also at a festival, we were all there, was the time of the free range human at Bestival.
Oh, Jesus Christ. Honestly, triggering to hear the word Bestival in my life.
I feel like I actually got it the worst.
Well, let's tell the story. So,
I think we all probably had it quite bad.
We all had it bad.
Yeah.
So we wanted to get to
Stop making
Bestival.
it about you and your trauma. We were in the trauma together.
My trauma was so intense.
So we wanted to go to Bestival and we'd heard that we could get in by working. I'd done Bestival loads before and you guys actually hadn't even done Bestival before, but you wanted to go.
Yeah.
And like, it was like, oh, we can go if we start work. If we work, then we only have to do like 3 6-hour shifts.
This was the theme of never wanting to pay for a festival but wanting to go. But also it was hard to sneak into Bestival because at the time it was on the Isle of Wight.
Yeah. So this company that said they'll hire us and we'll do like 3 6-hour shifts or something. And so we all signed up for it and we're like, yeah, cool. However, there was a hurricane in America that was heading over towards the UK. So loads of people cancelled working for this company.
I didn't know this.
So as a result, there was hardly any of us. There was like a handful of people that were left saying, yeah, we'll go and work for Bestival, for this behind the bars. And it was us and all our mates and a few other people. So what should have been short shifts got put into like really long shifts. So anyway, we arrived there the day before. Actually, the weather was starting to turn day one.
But also remember what we had to give as a deposit.
Yeah, so we had to give our passports over, which is
outrageous.
Absolutely appalling. Give our passports over for us to get this shift. Anyway, what should have been a really short shift, we ended up doing like the first shift we all had was like 12 hours.
Yeah, that's the thing, because I remember when I saw the shift, I was laughing because I read the time wrong from 24-hour to 12-hour. So I thought I had this really short shift, but actually we had a 16-hour shift.
Yeah. So then so we started doing the first shift was like, we didn't know our second day or third day shifts from the first shift. So they promised us, do your first shift, then you're not going to get big shift for the second one. So we did our first shift and now the rains are coming down. And this happened to be the muddiest, wettest, horriblest weathered festival, not just festival, that's ever happened, I think, in like the UK. Like people know about this festival because it was horrendous. I bet a lot of the listeners.
And we were actually on an island when you think about it.
Yeah, totally. So you can't get off. So we did this long shift and then we went to go, at the end of that shift, we went to see and we were all put on for like 16-hour shifts for the next day. So we were like, we're not doing it.
We didn't go.
So I remember Fred was like, oh, I'm not doing it. I'm not well enough. And they're like, go and get a doctor's note. So he went to welfare and they laughed in his face. I'm like, you don't need a doctor's note. Anyway, they're like, if you don't do your shift, you're not going to get paid and you're not going to get your passport back. So one of the things that I always think about when I think back to this story is that the fact that we had our parents on the phone. Like my mum was on the phone, like people had their parents on the phone and they were going, go and get your passport back. Like, how dare they? Like, they have no right to keep you captive. Like, get your passport and go. We were like, we can't, which is insane. Like, as a grown-up, like, I would never let someone treat me like that. Anyway, I remember for me, everyone's got their own stories, but like for me, the point when I had a fucking enough was I was doing a 16-hour shift and it got like to the time when dinner was and I hadn't had a break and I was like, please, I'm cold. I really I need something to eat. And the guy was like, yeah, break will be soon. Everyone went for break and I was like, okay, is it my turn now? And he had a plate of noodles in his hand and he was eating them and he went, oh, you've missed the break and there's no food left. And as he did that, he put the food in his mouth. And I just looked at him and I burst into tears. And he went, you can have this if you want. And handed me the plate of noodles that had come out of his gob.
Oh.
And I was like, so I burst out crying.
Of all the people, you are not someone that would ever, no way.
That was the point of like, get me out of here. So I said to him, sign my form now. I'm going. I've not been fed. It's 16 hours. I haven't been to bed, whatever. Get me out of here. So I actually went and I got my passport back because the main bastard guy wasn't actually there when I got my passport back. His minions were.
You and I went together and we played it really nice because we were like, we need to get our passports back. And I remember we went in there and the main prick wasn't there. He'd probably fucking got a helicopter out
he wasn't there then.
Yeah.
Fred never got his back.
Yeah.
I didn't either.
No, I remember they said to me, just finish your shift for today and then you can get the passport back. I looked, I had 4 hours left at this little Red Bull tent and it was like, I think like someone like decent playing like Shy FX. I was like, I was like, no worries, fine. And then I had to play nice. But Fred wasn't having it and good for him. He's like, I'm not doing it.
But the maddest thing is, Fred's dad was a solicitor.
Yeah, I remember.
So when we got back, basically, we all, in the long run was that we all got done over. You ended up wearing a bin bag because they wouldn't let you back to the tent.
Yeah, it was literally pouring with rain. I was freezing. I had no fucking dry clothes left. And we were probably like 19, like not packing correctly for a festival. Everything was so through in our shitty little tent.
I packed correctly.
You brought your whole house.
Everything was flooded.
Yeah, you're right.
Tents were washed away. Like it wasn't even
I was literally
like
in a bin bag.
people were like wearing those, what do you call them, like the foil jackets, people in bin bags. Like it was awful. Your wellies were getting so stuck in the mud. I'd bought a new tent for me and my partner, like my boyfriend at the time. And I think it probably would have flooded anyway. I used a scalpel when opening the box for the tent or the packaging for the tent. And I made a tiny slit accidentally without knowing in the actual tent.
That's what you need.
Oh my god.
During a rainy fucking festival.
Yeah, but my ex used to be in the army before we got together. And so I remember that night he was like, we've got to sleep in our wet clothes because that's what they get trained to do because it's most likely to dry on crazy.
Because of your body heat.
Because of your body heat, yeah, if you've got only wet clothes. We only had wet clothes.
This is not the SAS, mate. This is the Isle of Wight Festival.
So Fred's dad was a solicitor and then he actually wrote a formal letter to the company that hired us to ask for the passports back.
Citrus Event Staffing.
I always remember their name.
You fucking bastards.
Oh, they shut down immediately
No,
after
they probably
that.
had like 10 different names. They were fucking crooks. They were cowboys.
Yeah, they were.
Yeah.
So he wrote this letter and they wrote back saying that we've sent all of the passports to the British Embassy to be destroyed. No one got paid and most of us lost our passports.
Mm-hmm.
And to top it all off, the maddest thing is that we were literally wearing T-shirts that said free range human on it.
I know.
That was the branding for like Brothers Cider, and that was the uniforms.
One of the things about this festival that was horrendous is they actually provided me with one of the funniest experiences of my whole life. And I'll never forget it. So the bus left at 4 a.m. on the Monday morning.
I'm so glad that we got that in there because that was another cherry on top of the shit pie.
Yeah. And we had to get to the top of the hill for 3 a.m. in the morning, right after we've done these hideous shit. At this point, the site is a washout.
Swamp.
To get anywhere takes so long. Like you can't sit down, obviously, but you can't walk and your wellies are getting stuck and so forth. So we're now trying to get our suitcases and our outfits up to this hill for 3 a.m.
Suitcases through mud.
It was insane. Anyway, they had tried to put like tracking down throughout the site, and to do that, they had to like scrape off some of the mud and put it in like this no-go area just to try and get some sort of like stability throughout the site. So me, Lara, and Amy were trying to get to this bloody bus as quickly as we could, and we accidentally cut through this like area that was a slurry of all the shit mud that they'd taken and put in an area, and it had security guards around it, but they were tired. They didn't expect 3 girls in the dark to be like crossing through. So I was ahead first, and we were cutting through this area that was no one there, and all of a sudden my whole leg went down into the mud, and I turned around and I went, guys, don't come this way. And as I did, both of Lara's legs went vroom into the mud, and Amy as well, vroom into the mud. Amy had one leg, but Lara's both legs went in. So I was able to pull my leg out, and Amy was able to pull her leg out, but we had to get to Lara. So Lara, there was no way for Lara to put her hands to pull her legs out because the mud was so thick, it was up to her hips that anytime she tried to push down with her hands to get her legs out, her arm would go into the mud.
My arm got sucked in. It was like sinking sand. Everything got
really
sucked
was.
because I don't know. It just would suck. It would suck around
thick
anything it took.
It was sinking mud.
It's like a horror film. It was sinking mud. But your arm and you were like, I'm stuck.
But you were like laughing and crying at the same time because you were exhausted, but it was so funny. But it also was quite worrying because it was the middle of the night and you're now in a mud. So the security was trying to get to you. Me and Amy were on the floor crying, like we couldn't even speak. We were covered in mud as well. But I mean, compared to you, it was. So the security had to get wooden pallets, and they had to build a bridge over to you. And there was 2 of them, and they were on the pallet bridge, and they were like, heave, and they were pulling you from your arms, and you were like, and you were trying to get out. They were, I think there's like 3 of them in the air, and one had like your body, and then they eventually got you out, and then out of the mud. But you had no willies. Your willies got stuck in the mud, and
you couldn't get them out. They're like little suctioned in, you know.
I bet that really annoyed Laura as
we've
well.
got to go. The bus is going, so we literally had to keep going. It was like the worst endurance test of your life. It was like
basically SAS.
because there was no way that you could just give up. What was the point? You can't.
No.
Right?
Not at this point. Not
You
after
can't.
everything
You
we've
have to
been
go on
through.
that bus. It's the only way we're getting out.
That bus was our life ticket. It felt like that was
we had
that
to
was
get
life or
out
death
there.
because the other thing is it was really dangerous. No vehicles could get in and out.
Yeah.
Like the car park, people were stuck because you couldn't get in and out the car park because it was so dangerous for vehicles. They were just slipping and sliding. You couldn't get out. So people were just stuck in this mud fest. But obviously where our bus had come was to like some new untouched entrance that was like a little less like trodden and muddy, but it was fucking miles away with suitcases, lifting your suitcase, dragging it through.
It was. I think we cried, we were laughing. Like we had to,
No, I do think I actually had to stop myself from crying at one point because
I think we all cried.
It was hell.
And like the thing is, like it sounds like, oh God, we're moaning about something. No, it was really hard.
It was bad. It was wet. It was cold. Nothing was dry. We were being what's the word? Exploited. So, and also, do you know the problem with this is like, you know, like a wet festival, like obviously you're still gonna like try and have fun, you're there and everything, but equally I feel like it's so much more forced because you can't sit out on the grass, like you can't spend your days out in the festival like enjoying yourself. You kind of just like in wet hell.
We didn't have any fun. I can't remember any fun of it.
I mean, we had a laugh, guys, didn't we? But no, maybe at the time it wasn't so funny.
I can't remember actually having any fun there.
I remember trying to have fun and like when Amy Winehouse was on.
Oh, that was another moment.
I remember being really high at that point because what else are you going to do? And us just standing and just I just remember the lights of the festival just shining, shimmering off the thick mud and rain.
It was.
What year was it?
2008, maybe?
Yeah, maybe 2008, 9, I'm going to guess. Yeah.
But that being said, I do actually think festivals are like the best, most funnest thing you could ever do. And I always feel sorry for people that haven't experienced one or not
I agree,
a good
because
one.
you know what? Dan put it in like a really good sense. He said, why festivals are so great because they're the closest thing to proper freedom that you could have.
Liberating.
As a human being living in like bloody...
It's utopia.
Yeah, and like also, you know, like day to day, like living in London, even like police city, like CCTV everywhere, or like, you know, can you even smoke a joint walking down the road? Probably not.
Yeah.
Like in certain situations. So like the freedom that you get, and like everyone's so different, and that's why, like, again, why I think Glastonbury is such a good festival because it's so broad. Like, and there's not even just one thing for everyone. There's like 20 things for each person at least to enjoy, and it's like very much like you feel very free when you're there. Definitely.
Agreed.
Going back to Secret Garden Party, I remember really not wanting to go out on the Thursday night because I wanted to save myself for the next night. And everyone was like, no, come on, let's go out for the first night. So I went out, I was like, oh, just like, won't go on it too much. I'll just like have a mooch around the site. And I sat down, I think we were like watching some music, and I sat down and I put my hand down and I found a massive baggie with like 50 baggies of what I thought was MD. I was like, oh my God, I'm fucking rich. I'm just around 50 grams of MD. And I was like giving it out to everyone like I was some big baller. And I was like, literally like drugs were on me to the left. Anyway, I remember I was like, I'm not going to do any of it tonight, but I'm going to, I'll start on it tomorrow. And I gave out to everybody. I went to bed that night and I woke up and I could hear everyone cackling outside the tent. I came out and everyone was like, oh, hey, Jessie, what's that stuff you gave us? It's fucking nuts. I was like, really? Yeah, we haven't stopped laughing on it. Anyway, I couldn't get rid of this stuff, basically. I had it for years and years and years.
That's why the person lost it in the first place on purpose.
Yeah, mate, this stuff was like, we tried to work out what it was, and I reckon it was like a chemical off a chemical that made it like some legally high sort of shit.
I actually think I know what it is. Do you remember the MCAT era?
Yeah.
But it was like a form of it because I remember me, my ex, and one of his mates had taken it in Leeds, thinking it was because it was like the MCAT era. Guys, we didn't stop laughing.
Yeah.
Like it was like
loony
level. It was loony level of laughing. It was insane. It's like, it must be that.
Yeah, well, me and B once went back to his house and his mum and dad were in bed and we did some. And I'm not joking. We had 3 hours of just staring at each other's face, howling at each other, laughing. And his mum kept going, shut up. His mum must have thought, oh my God, they need to go to a psychiatric ward because the laughing was on another level.
Yeah.
We didn't even say a word to each other. We were just, I can't even do it because I've lost my voice, but cackling at each other so loud, this stuff. But the come down from it was fucking vile, like suicide watch vile. Yeah, it was really bad. It was mad. And I also remember another time I brought a girl with me from school a year below me to Global Gathering, and she was lying her head on one of our friends' laps, and he pulled out some MD to do some, and it dropped in her eye. And then when I woke up and I saw her, I felt quite responsible for her because I was a year older than her. I was 19 and she was 18.
A year, relax.
And, I was like, are you all right? And she was like, yeah. And I swear to God, one eye was just going rocketing round the eye socket. It was like crazy eye. I was like, I don't want to freak you out, but your eye's gone mad. She was like, what? Anyway, it worked out it's because like the MD had fallen in her eye and it was shaking around the socket.
That is crazy.
Yes. Do you remember when you came out to Barcelona? For the listeners who don't know me, embarrassing for you for starters. But also, I used to live in Barcelona, and when I first moved there, the girls came out to surprise me, which was like one of the most like unreal moments of my life. And we'd been out, and then we went back to my flat, and some people get really like this on MD. I don't, but like Lara's definitely one of those people, but they like completely trip out. And she like went over to my microwave, popped it open. Oh my God, I thought my dinner was ready. We were all like, what?
I do.
Remember that?
I do remember that, and I was convinced. And then, you know, when you have that moment where like the penny drops and you go, oh my God, someone needs to slap me because I'm not with it at all.
It just shows you how many microwave meals you live off.
No, I actually don't.
You didn't even go to the oven, you went to the microwave.
So many funny moments. It's actually really fun actually reliving them with you here. Us three have done so many festivals together and crazy nights.
Very true.
Yeah. What are you going to do next, Susie? Are you going to do any more festivals?
This year, no more this year, but I do think next year what I'll try and do is always try and do Glasgow. I just save it. I just do 2 or like 1. If I just do Glastonbury, I'm happy. But the other one I would love to do again is We Out Here. And I think it's such a good festival. The music's really good. The vibe's really good. The people, like, I think the crowd's really cool. It has moved site now because it was at the Secret Garden Party site. And now I think it's in Dorset.
Right.
So it's not too bad, but I would definitely go to that again. I think that's all I will do next
Lost
year.
Village is a really good one as well. I think that moves site as well.
Right.
But it's a really good one. The lineup's always amazing. So I'd recommend that one too.
Yeah, but Susie doesn't really like house and techno and Lost Village. A lot of house and
pretty much
techno.
house and techno.
I'll give it a miss.
Well, maybe next year all the stars will align and we'll get to reunite together at a festival.
Yeah, maybe Glastonbury.
Yeah.
Hopefully Glastonbury. 'cause
That
I
would be
think
sick.
really
Let's
sick.
put it out there. Yeah.
Yeah, Jessie, get your manifestation.
You know I can make it happen. Well, thanks, Sue. Thanks for coming and joining us in our studio today.
Well, thank you so much for having
It's
me.
been
It went too quickly.
other than the 3 hours of sitting up. But it's been a blast. So thank you so much. Thank you. And thank you at home for listening again. We love you all. Please keep following. Please keep sharing. And please keep raving.